All right, so we are broadcasting already, and I can see that some participants are starting to jump in. As people are joining, just want to say welcome to everybody. We're going to wait a little bit of time before we get started. This way we can allow everybody to join before we kick off into the program today. So just sit tight, and we'll get started right around 12:03, 12:04. And we'll see depending on how the participants incoming look like.
Yeah, so maybe, Greg, with now slowly the country opening up, do you have a holiday planned already?
Oh, yeah. July 4th is coming up, right? That's a biggie.
Yeah.
And America's planning, I think, to get in their car and drive someplace, like a lake or, that kind of thing. That they say that the obviously plane traffic's still nowhere near normal. And they think the prediction is that most people are going to go relatively close to them. Now, I'm going to drive far. I'm going to go all the way to Maine. And if you know our East Coast, that's way up there from where I am. But it's pretty spectacular once you get there. It's, it's the natural settings in Maine are extraordinary. So I think a lot of that'll be going on.
Can imagine. Yeah, that's something that we have a bit less. The great outdoors in the Netherlands kind of are limited to a couple of fields with cows and
yeah, there's a lot. I mean, America, there's just so many gorgeous spots in America. It's like a continent. So, there'll be a lot of folks heading out. And this is Memorial Day was, that was a big one. That's already passed. But the next one is July 4th. So it's, literally right around the corner. And that's a big patriotic holiday, so fireworks are big. So I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in all the different venues across America.
And I hope you're going to be taking a pit stop. You're not just driving directly to Maine without a break.
Yeah. That's a long drive. There's
okay.
no way,
just,
Derek.
Just want to make sure, just looking out for you.
Lots of stops. I'm in Alpharetta here in Atlanta, but I'll be making that drive from Delaware where I live. So that's about 12 hours north. So it's not quite as bad. Driving from Atlanta would be. I'm well past the 24-hour driving thing. I don't do that any longer.
Okay.
Oh, nice. I was actually teasing our events manager, Lavinia, because I heard a rumor that she's from the UK, and so I heard a rumor that the UK might be opening July 4th latest. So teasing her, saying we're both going to be able to celebrate the 4th of July now. I'm not sure if she liked that.
That would be kind of ironic, given that July 4th is about our really our troops and all that good stuff, Independence Day. So it's kind of interesting when you throw Britain in the mix and on that date. Not that we're not all good friends now, we are, but there was a time, right, a long time ago when obviously Britain and the United States we were the bad stepchild. What about Europe? When's the next big holiday in Europe?
The official one. Well, I think in Europe we typically have a bit more holidays than in the US. I think that's something that we have by default. Here in the Netherlands, for example, legally you have right to 25 holidays per year. In addition to around 10 public holidays. So yeah, that's a lot more than sometimes the stories I hear that you start out with 2 weeks of holiday when you start working in the US. So we as Europeans we believe in a good work-life balance, and yeah, I actually have a trip planned to Ibiza, and it was like a Spanish island. It was kind of tight if they would open up on time, but they did open up. So I'm gonna go end of this month. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, a little rest and relaxation is very, very helpful. I know myself. I mean, I think the whole work smarter, not harder is finally starting to be embraced by at least quite a few Americans. You're just not that effective if you just grind all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. Good.
Alrighty, guys. Well, it's 12:05. Let's go ahead and get started. So again, welcome to everybody who's joining us for today. Feel free, jump into the chat, introduce yourself, your business, where you're from. We like to make this a nice dialogue amongst everybody who's here. So feel free and incorporate that. You'll see a little area where you can go ahead and engage with us in a couple of different ways. The Q&A section, if you'd like to ask a question directly to us, and then there's also a chat section as well. Just make sure you're changing the setting on that one to be all panelists and attendees so that this way everybody can see it. And without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our speakers that we have for today. So just to keep it easy, Greg, going from left to right on here, you mind kicking us off?
Sure. Greg Moore. I'm the Vice President of Fitness and Education for Workout Anytime Franchising, and we're a franchise organization with about 173 locations and growing, and excited to be a partner with Virtuagym and excited to be on the call today.
Great. Hi, everybody. My name is Hugo, co-founder of Virtuagym. Started the business together with my brother. I'm based in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, all the way on the other side of the pond. So happy to be here.
Actually, and I'm Derek. I'm the Director of Corporate Wellness at Virtuagym. So really who I'm working with is our corporate fitness partners, as well as directly with corporations to help them with their employee wellness programs. Today, I'll be taking a little bit of a back seat, so to speak. But what I'm going to be doing is navigating through the chats, your Q&A, and making sure I bring up all your good questions you have for Hugo, Greg, and Kaylin later on in the session.
Awesome. And then my name is Kaylin Pino. I'm the head of US market here for Virtuagym. And today I am the glorified presentation clickers, making sure that we can highlight Greg and Hugo for today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. As far as the agenda for today, we're going to be discussing these items here. So reopening lessons learned from Greg and his team, his 3 tips for reopening, and then additionally opening it up to a discussion amongst all of us and talking about how to future-proof your business, taking into consideration the economic situation that we're in at the moment. And then the last thing is introducing a brand new product that we are proud to announce, which is called Stronger Together. So going into the first item, as you guys know, America's reopening, and it's happening in different ways from state to state to state. I'm sure everybody here is in one of these states, or maybe a different country as well, and going through a way of reopening that's different. So we're curious to learn if you guys have reopened or not. So we'll launch out a poll here in just a sec to see where the crowd is at on this. But as you guys can see, you know, if you take a look at this map, we dropped all the states that Workout Anytime has a franchise in and participating in business. And so it looks like quite a challenge, Greg, in order to be able to manage the reopening across multiple different states. Tell us a little bit about how you've been supporting your franchisees and making sure that they're able to stay relevant at the local level.
Yes, it has been a very big challenge, but within every challenge, there's opportunity. So the challenge is that every state is different and there's differences in locales. So when you get down to the nitty gritty are what's the rules for opening my gym, it varies. So we put out a very comprehensive guide to opening. We call it, and it's titled Our Clean Routine, and the obvious emphasis of the words there, but it really is exactly what do I do as a franchisee and how do I open? And there's a lot of different aspects to that. And a big part of that is ongoing communication. And so we've also supported our franchisees by helping them through the process of getting PPE loans. How do we shift up our marketing? It's been an enormous shift, honestly. I don't think our organization, our support center team here has worked harder in the last month and a half than we ever have in our lives, because it's literally like opening 170 clubs again. And there's a lot of work on every aspect, including resetting your billing, and you just can imagine all that. So it's been a really interesting time, but it's also allowed us to get focused on some things that we probably should have been focused on, but this gave us the opportunity to really focus on those things like virtual, like the app, like we're going to be touching on today.
Awesome. And as far as, you know, some commonalities. So we have, as you guys saw in the chats, we have people from all over. But Greg, curious, you know, what commonalities and best practices are you seeing as far as some things that all states are encountering, and some tips for everybody generally?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we all know we need to be clean, and we've all said we're clean as an industry. That needs to be taken up to an entire new standard. And the standard really needs to be, this needs to be as clean as a hospital. And that involves a culture shift, particularly in organizations like ours. We have a lot of young staff. So it's very easy when you're young and healthy to assume that you're going to live forever and this virus is never going to affect you. I'm 60. I do not look at the world that way. All right. We have a group of members who are happy to come back, and they jumped right in, right? And they're not afraid of anything, right? That's a small group. There's a group that's not ready to come back even now, right? They're scared, right? And then there's another group that's in the middle. So you are totally on stage, and this needs to be your first priority. You need to show me, and you need to have everyone on your team be able to communicate how it's safe here. Not just it's clean, not just saying it. Show me, explain to me, and you're going to be asked these questions, by the way. How do you clean? What is that you're using to wipe down the equipment, right? Do you have masks on? All those things. So the questions have changed, right? And the selling opportunity has changed, because that's the first thing that we got to get by, right? It's not, do you have how many treadmills, and do you have this machine, and what about a sauna, and blah, 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 blah. It's explain to me why I'm going to be safe there. So I think you need to focus on that. You need to create a set of best practices. I'm happy to share that with someone if they want what we've done. And then we need to rehearse with our staff. Another big tip. We really need to rehearse with our staff, because you're going to have incidents like this come up where you have a member who is not paying attention to social distancing because he or she just, they're not worried about it. And there are people like that, right? But then there's another member who's flipped out because this member is in their space. If you're not taking that on and you're not handling that, you're going to lose a lot of members. You're going to lose a ton of members. If I'm in your business, I expect you to manage that for me. Now, you got, just imagine how delicate that situation is. One member's not following the rules, but he's a member, right? And then we got another member who's really freaked out because it's like, this guy's right next to me and he's not cleaning it. He's not cleaning his equipment. That used to be acceptable. Guys, it's simply not acceptable. So big changes there. The last big tip I'd give everyone is, if you are not over communicating with your staff and members during shutdown throughout the entire process, you are going to pay a horrible price for this. You probably all have members that are going to be on freeze, right? If you're putting me on freeze and you stop talking to me, wow, what a big mistake, because someone else is talking to me. And I'm finding solutions for my fitness programming from someone else. So you're either doing that or you're losing that customer. And I cannot overemphasize that enough, because if I have 300-400 people on freeze, if I'm continuing to pour communication into them, giving them tools to do it, whether it's paid or not, is really not the central issue. The central issue is, am I maintaining contact with them so that when they are ready, they'll come in my club, right? So those would be my big tips.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's a good point what you mentioned regarding the communication. Also, I totally agree. We had a European webinar earlier today, and one of the things that came up there is that apparently in Germany, who opened up their doors a couple of weeks ago, what they noticed is exactly that same target group. The young men were the first to return in the clubs, and especially the older people, they just stayed away. So yeah, it needs a lot of communication and convincing, I think, to get those people back within your facility.
Right. So we can't just, and for a long time, we have not communicated as much as we should, to be honest with you. And I'm speaking about us. So, you know, the take home message for me is we've got to over communicate. Staff, guys, if you're not open, your best trainers, if you're not talking to them, do you know what they're doing? They're finding another job. Don't assume that everyone's going to come back. Your entrepreneurial trainers and our franchisees, the one that have maintained contact, given trainers option to try to help them generate income during the closure and things like that. The people that are doing that, that staff is coming right back. But if you think you can stop talking to people for 6 weeks and they're all just going to come running back because you said it's time to come back, that's a big mistake. Don't assume that. You need to talk to everyone a lot right now because things are changing and people are scared. And the way you stop rumors is you address them head on and you speak to people in more than one medium, right? Not just email, not just social. Communicate, communicate, communicate.
Yeah, that's super interesting. One of the big things that I'm taking away as well from people that I'm speaking with, and maybe you can elaborate a little bit on this, Greg. But there's even in reopening, you have two groups. You have the group that's comfortable in order to come in, and you're doing your best in order to make sure that you're engaging with them, you're communicating to them the cleaning standards. But then you have this whole other group that's just waiting and looking for the signs in order to see that it's okay to come back, but are still interested in engaging with the brand and their health and wellness. And one of the things that I feel that, you know, I'm taking away from what you're saying is, don't make the mistake of being out of sight, out of mind. Here's the things that I'm working with right now with the people who are in the facility. Make sure to have a strategy of communication and engaging with the members that maybe aren't feeling comfortable to come in yet.
100%. And if we start, we have to stop thinking of things ending at our four walls, right? We need to be a part of our members' lives in their living room, right? We just had a discussion internally about that. The app, all these different things we're going to talk about, we need to expand our thinking radically, and we need to do that very quickly. Because if you're not doing it, you can rest assured that somebody else is going after your customer. There's plenty of brands right now, guys, that are thriving. And that's because, honestly, if I use Equinox in the United States, they had a very formal digital strategy. A lot of the things that we're going to be talking about, they've been working on that for 3 years. So in the month of March, what I heard through the grapevine is they did $1 million in virtual training. They did not miss a beat because they were ready, right? The rest of us, we got to pick it up. And if you're sitting there going, I don't need to move quickly, you need to be thoughtful, but you need to move and you need to adjust your business model quickly right now, or you're going to be irrelevant. And that's really important to understand. And a huge part of that is just communication, right? Everything starts with communication.
Nice. Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen here again. So we in a past webinar that we did with one of your staff members, Michelle, who was on the marketing side, we dived in a little bit of detail on the reopening playbook and the mobile app marketing launch. If somebody's interested in watching that, definitely feel free to take a look. It's on our YouTube channel. It's webinar number 12, the one that we did in June 2nd. So that one will be there. Today, we're expanding that conversation though, and what we're doing is we're talking about what are we going to do in order to build a business that's going to be able to thrive and succeed in the future post COVID-19. And so that's essentially what we're going to be discussing. Greg was talking about the business model needs to change, otherwise you run the risk of becoming irrelevant. And what are some of the signals that we're seeing that things are changing? Well, one is the potential recession that we're in at the moment. So if you take a look at the stats, I think we're over 44 million people now who have made claims for unemployment. And the last week it was at 1.5 million jobless claims just last week. The peak was at 6.9 in the United States. And it's really interesting to see how people are talking about how, oh, it's great, these numbers are going down. But that number of 1.5 that's multiples higher than what it has ever been in the past. 600K was the highest that we've ever seen beforehand. So this is still a huge amount of numbers. And so I think a good place in order to reflect on is the last recessions that we've been in. And as we go through, I'm going to hit this piece really quickly. In the recessions, we see three things happen. You know, we see disposable income go down. We see businesses file for bankruptcy if they're not able to keep up with running a sustainable business. And additionally, you can see a drop in market demand. Fortunately for fitness, we fared well the last two recessions, and businesses have thrived. However, one of the things that we want to discuss today is, you know, why is that, and then what's different about this recession that makes the circumstances a little bit differently. And so, one of the things that we've been talking about, you know, as we're preparing all of the different clients and prospective clients who come and talk to us, is we say that two things really happen as you start going into a recession where resources are limited. One is desire doesn't change. People still want to work out. They still want to engage with the services and the brand. The thing that changes is their ability to purchase this is what's going to be impacted based off of their personal situation. And so a lot of things that you can do, much of which we'll be jumping into as Greg takes us through his breakdown of how they've been addressing this as a brand. But you can see here that one is have some flexible business models, take a customer-centric approach, diversify your revenue streams so that this way you're not dependent on totally one stream or another. And the reason why, and just to kind of help spark some conversations and some debates and some thoughts within everybody's head is, I mean, if we look at the last recession, 2008, 2009, everybody knows the classic Netflix and Blockbuster story. Blockbuster was saying, "Oh, our business model is so reliant on people who love to come in, hear a recommendation from our staff because they want to talk to our staff because they want to learn about these things." But lo and behold, you know, Netflix comes along, offers a way in order to engage with it differently for the end user, and they end up wiping out Blockbuster. So within this recession, one of the things that I'm just curious about is the past ones we never had providers out there that were like Peloton. Peloton came around in 2012. We didn't have providers like Mirror. The competitive landscape is changing. And so taking that into consideration, how are we going to be adjusting our business models in order to make sure that we're going to run competitive business and thrive in the future? And so, Greg, thank you so much for sharing your funnel essentially for the PT offerings and the way that you're approaching it. Really appreciate you taking the opportunity in order to share this with us and our audience members today. Yeah, walk us through this a little bit so that we can understand how you guys are rising to the challenge and addressing.
Thank you. Yeah, this is kind of a visual because I like to start from the end. Right? So where do we want to be and what are we trying to do, right? And this, we just went over this with our whole team this morning again, really. So we know that we want to build the value of membership. And I'm talking traditional in-club membership. That didn't go away, right? We still want to do that, right? So how do we build value for the members we already have and the memberships they already have, right? Without charging them. Why? Because we need to build that value because it's a competitive situation. They're stuck at home. So we did three things. One is Virtuagym. We were ready, so that was awesome because we have workouts ready for people through the app, and we all know how easy that is to do, right? So we've got thousands of people doing that now, and they were doing it during the crisis. And they're going, wow, this is a great workout. Some of them are building their own workouts in the app. So really great to have that, particularly on time for this. We created workout of the day videos. We host them on YouTube, and those are more, they're live, but we also record them, and they're a little bit more interactive, right? Because you've got our team, you've got trainers from our staff that people actually know doing these videos, and they were filmed, most of them, in our clubs that were closed. So we're in front of people, and there's a group of people consuming that content who love it. Some people are doing app workouts and those other workouts. And then the third thing is a video clip model. And if you go to our website, and you go to www.workoutanytime.com, you'll see these three buckets there. And you can click through and say, what does all this look like? How do they promote this? But bottom line, those are complementary services. And we're happy to provide them, right? Because we need to build value in just being a member, right? So we've done that. At the same time, we're not in this, we will not survive. Nobody on this call will survive if we can't drive revenue, right? We also look at those complementary offerings as the beginning of a funnel towards paid services, right? So if we can identify people that clearly are comfortable using the app for workouts, are consuming workout of the day videos, are consuming these video clip workouts that you can go and look at, they clearly are telling you something. They're telling you, I am somewhat comfortable consuming digital content, right? So you know that, right? The free content is not as good as some of the paid content that we offer out there. So then you go to the bottom line of this diagram and you say, what else are we talking about? Well, you see under there streaming workouts through app or other. What Hugo's going to outline later in this presentation is where we are going. So what he's going to outline, we are doing exactly what you're going to see here. We're going to roll that out through the app to the entire network, and that is not a free service. We'll have to settle on a price. It could be $6 on the low side, could be $8, $9, something under $10. And we'll work with Virtuagym to consider exactly where we want to price that, right? But that becomes an impulse anytime, anywhere purchase. That any member who has the app can just say, I want that. Boom, they upgrade. Virtuagym is tied into our club management software platform with ABC, so those purchases will be seamless and go right into the club's coffers, right? So that's really, really important, and what Hugo's going to show you is important. At the same time, we're building our own studio. It's happening as we speak, and a studio is just an office, right? We will be doing live virtual workouts, and they will be fee-based. We'll give people, and that's interactive. So imagine the instructor's in front of a big screen TV. There's 12 people in a class, and I'm literally saying, Hugo, drop lower. Derek, pick up the heavier dumbbell. I am coaching you, right? We've been doing this, but we found a really cool platform to do that, right? And we'll be doing that on a one-on-one basis. We'll also do that small group, and we'll do large group, which is broadcast, which is one-to-many, right? So this is an integrated, comprehensive strategy that moves us forward and allows us to monetize our business even with our doors being closed. And obviously that's important, but even when our doors open back up, there's no reason that someone can't consume fitness content in the club, but they can do the same thing in their home. There's no reason they can't do both. So there'll be three buckets of people. I want to do everything at home. I want to do everything in the club. I want to do both, right? So we're going to be able to offer all that. And then on the far right, you see home equipment and nutrition sales through third-party providers. If I'm a feature in your living room, when I say I mean Workout Anytime. So if Workout Anytime's in front of you, talking to you through the app, through live, right? We've earned a place in your living room, so to speak. Once I'm there, it's very easy to start offering you ancillary service and products. And there's a lot of them. So if you're doing classes, I could offer you a home kit with bands, with a step. We have third-party providers ready to provide those goods. We'll have no inventory. So you purchase, and then we get sent a rebate by those manufacturers. And manufacturers of exercise equipment and that type of stuff, they're very amenable to this. So, but all of this depends on what? You have to have a digital strategy, and you got to have a lot of people in that digital pipe. So our goal is to have 40% of our members with the app or higher, because once that happens, we have, in our case, a whole lot of people. Right? And if we have a whole lot of people that we're communicating with and are using these services, that opens the door for that other market. So as you can see, it becomes a very big long-term strategy. But if you want to execute, you have to kind of know where you want to go, set your goals, and start moving.
100%. I love that. And I think especially going through a situation where we're on lockdown and nobody's able to come into the facility, everybody is going to agree with this model during these, I guess you can call them war times in which that we're in right now, trying to find ways in order to get creative. However, during normal business as usual days, you'll have some people who say, "Oh, Greg, I'm not sure if I should do something like this, because if they're not coming into the facility, they're not, what value are they getting from the brand and working with us?" What would you say to somebody who's maybe a bit hesitant about being able to pull the trigger on something like this during normal times when they can rely on someone in order to come into the facility like usual days?
Yeah, I'm going to say this direct. This is my habit. That's a big mistake. That's a big mistake. The world just changed. Guys, it did. It did. It doesn't matter if you like it, don't like it. Digital got 10x'd in our mind. Like, it just got accelerated. It's not like Zoom didn't exist, right? But what's happened to Zoom volume? It's exploded. People have reached a comfort level. There are thousands and thousands of people working out in their home. That's not going to go away, guys. It's just not. So you have to embrace it and say, wait a minute, I can sit here and pretend all this is not happening and rely on my same business. And we're not saying ignore your business, but why would you leave that on the table? The business outline that Hugo's going to go through you is a 24/7, 365 worldwide opportunity for your business, right? There's no geographic boundaries. And the cost is, it's just not that. Why would you not want that piece? And I promise you, within 2 years, if you are not doing this, people will go, well, what do you mean you don't have that? It's like an app. You kind of like, how many people ask us for apps? Like, what do you mean you don't have an app? Isn't there an app? Why not? It's going to go from that's nice, that's different, to yeah, I just expect this. And I see that happening really, really fast.
Greg, we got a question in coming from Laura, saying they are a disability fitness center. Majority of their members are senior. She's all for digital. Thinks it's great, but with senior people, it can be challenging to get them on board. Do you have any tips for her?
Yes, sure. So great question, by the way. If you're going to do this, you have to do it right. That's why we're putting up a studio. Now, it's not going to be a Hollywood studio. I'm happy to go through with you how to do that, but you're right to be concerned about sound quality. You're right to be concerned about this. How do you look and feel? And that's why you want, in our mind, if you want to be best of breed, you have to set up an environment that's controlled, right? So for example, on the sound side, you need an equalizer. Okay, so your music is going to come from one source plugged into a mixer board, and your microphone is another, and that is essential for high quality. Wait, because the instructor you need to be able to control the input levels of music and speech, right? Think about this. We want this to feel like an in-club, in-studio experience. So if you don't get it right, you're going to have a problem. I am happy, and they can share my email to share we use AV Now. It's a company that you can go talk to. They can set this up. They're setting it up all over. If you think we're the only ones talking about this, guys, guess what? Smell the coffee. This is happening really fast, and you have a competitor who's doing this right now. So you gotta start planning, and you gotta start executing. And one more point on that: if you want to be delivering virtual classes, what do you think your internet speed needs to be like? It needs to be fast. And specifically, you need an upload speed, which you typically don't worry about, right? I'm sitting in an office. Our upload speed doesn't matter that much. It's, there's not that much coming up. When I'm starting to deliver classes, so there's a whole technology thing. Here's the good news. And then I'll end this. Our total all-in cost to start a really high-end studio with a first month's rent and security, it's about $7 grand. And that's doing it branded, wall, everything, really doing a great job. And I don't mean that everyone on this call needs to spend that, but you do need to be prepared to deliver a quality product. I'm happy to share that information with anyone.
We actually have a customer of ours in Europe. It's the biggest chain there, Basic Fit. They already pre-corona built their own studio for classes. They spent 2 million in building a professional TV type of, with like cameras on rails and stuff like that. It's crazy. Makeup artists, the whole shebang.
Well, you know, Hugo, you say that, you know, it is crazy, but in our case, we have 173 locations and growing. We're going to deliver all of those classes, yet our franchisees are going to be able to sell that and they have no labor cost.
Yeah, it's great.
We do it one time. And to your point, you got to get it right. So if you're a multi-unit operator on this call, you don't want to kind of do a half, you know, you don't want to go into it without really thinking through. I don't think you need to spend 2 million, but I'm going to bet you that their product, the way it looks and feels, is going to be, you know, really impressive.
So how does that work? Because actually Laura asked the question again. She meant like, how does it work with senior people that aren't too tech savvy? Do you have any tips for that to get?
So that's a great point.
Digital?
And it's something that we've been going back and forth with. So we've been talking to Silver Sneakers. Everybody probably in America knows Silver Sneakers is a, you know, an opportunity for seniors to use to basically pay a very low rate to come into clubs and take classes. That is, I don't know how much money that is in the US, Hugo. It is enormous.
Yeah, I know.
And they are not coming back. Like, as a group, they will be the last people. So Silver Sneakers is in trouble. I mean, because to your point, Hugo, they're not. So my initial thought was, yeah, they won't get it, seniors. Well, I've been talking to a bunch of seniors who've reached out to me here, and they're like, I can totally figure this out. Start doing it. I want the classes. I will figure it out. Now, I don't mean that every senior will figure it out, but I think we got to give a little, like, where's the, I heard some stats on how many seniors are on Facebook. They're not all incapable.
Yeah.
And, you know, we need to make it easier for them. So if you're going to do live classes, for example, something that a millennial knows how to do is take their phone and get it up on their flat screen, right? I don't know how to do that, but if you sent me a PDF and showed me 6 different ways to do that, I'll figure it out. If you know, I'll figure it out. So that's got to be kind of part of your onboarding strategy. To Hugo's point, if I want that pop, and then the other challenge is you need programming for them, right? For those people, right? You have to think through the equipment side. So this is literally an entire new business. This is a new business. And the good news is I think you can start this new business for a lot less than your first business, but it does take some focus and some thought, and your team getting together and saying, what are all the things I've got to do to make this work and make sure that my offering is fantastic, which is why we're excited about what Hugo's going to present, because honestly, we don't have to do anything. And boy, that's nice. Right? We just really don't have to do a lot of work because you've packaged it up in a way. And it's not the same as live coaching classes. But as you're going to see, there's a lot of value. So we're not going to do one of those things. We're going to do both of those things, right? They're 2 different strategies that we need to execute against.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's, I will start with kind of the parts that I wanted to touch upon, because I think, Kalen, you mentioned the 2008 crisis. I think the big difference here is that the fitness industry has been hit very hard, obviously by the lockdowns, but I think also moving forward with the reopening, the reluctancy of customers coming in, the strict government policies from that allow for limited access, so you don't have the same capacity. And actually somebody posted a question about this, stating like, I'm actually more afraid of the reopening than of the lockdown, because now I have to open up my facility, but I only have like 30% capacity maybe. So how I'm gonna get through that period? And that's really the reason, as a tech company in the fitness industry, we're like obviously ongoing thinking about what can we do to support our customers, and especially in these times. So on the one side, we've been working hard on reopening tools. So within our software, you can book your spot in the facility. So as a facility, you can make limited spots available. People can book it. Before people can book, they do a COVID-19 symptoms check just to make sure that they don't have any symptoms, they don't have any roommates with symptoms, etc. And then that's linked to the access control. And as a business owner, you have a dashboard in the club to real-time monitor how many people are in your facility, who are in the facility, and how long everyone is in the facility. So you can really effectively manage who is in the club. But beyond that, Greg, as you mentioned, I think the industry has changed. With the lockdown, obviously, the digital fitness got an enormous boost. We think this is something that is staying. So at the same time, we saw many customers being successful with our software, going online, but also many customers struggling because it is a lot of work. And we figured like, hey, we have like close to 7,000 customers worldwide. Can't we kind of use that to invest all together to come up with a great content solution, and this has become stronger together, basically a turnkey digital membership solution that you can offer. And as said, ongoing uncertainty. Luckily, there's light at the end of the tunnel. At the same time, still a lot of uncertainty. How many people can we get back in? Sadly, we're now also hearing stories about Beijing, for example, going back into a lockdown. I think also in Italy, there was a city that's restricting again. So there is still a lot of uncertainty. I think as a business, you always need to prepare to get your business in the best position to overcome any hardship that's coming up. As mentioned, the digital home fitness trend, these companies, Peloton, Mirror, Thread, they've taken a huge boost in the current Corona crisis, and they're targeting your customers, right? So I think this is something to take into account. And I feel that in these times, I've seen many of our customers giving these digital services for free. I'm not saying it's a mistake. At the same time, I did also see many of our customers basically keep charging their members and giving the online services in exchange for that membership. Those of you who have visited our previous webinars, they've seen some examples. And I think on the long run, obviously, when it all started, nobody knew how long this was going to take. But I think by now, we can be certain it took too long, and we are not sure how long it will take until you're back at full capacity. Will there be a next wave of Corona? It's just not certain. So I think as a business, you need to just go digital, make it a paid model, because it's free is not a business when you run out of cash. And I think even moving forward, consumers will want this blended model, online, offline, in addition to their in-club facilities, have access to this wide array of digital extra services. That if you go out strength training in your club, why not be able to do streaming yoga classes at home? That's a great additional service. So basically what we did is invested in this as a company, so we allow our customers to make this transition without doing all the heavy lifting themselves. Basically, this rich, engaging online experience, allowing members to also keep working out at home. Still, during times of closure or partial opening up, you can really ask your members to support you by getting this digital subscription, at the same time ask for solidarity, but giving them something back in return, something of value. And I think that's very important. I think a lot of consumers, members, they are willing to support the businesses that they buy services from, but it has to be fair, right? So if you can provide them something in return, that's great. So what is it? It's basically, we're building this community on top of our community platform, where we are running bi-weekly challenges where people can actually win real prizes. We're pre-filling, setting up content groups on nutrition, on working out, on wellness that are updated multiple times per week. It includes streaming workout videos, kind of high quality on demand through the platform, audio meditation, and we're working hard on improving the whole engagement with gamification as well. So those of you who are customers know that we have a partnership where we open up video on demand through our platform. This is included in this concept. There's over 600 workout videos going from yoga, high intensity training, whatever. And that's part of the membership. And that in itself, if you compare it with Les Mills or any other online streaming consumer apps, around value of $10 per month. Then we've developed with a partner a full meditation, audio meditation solution as part of this concept. Many of you probably know companies, apps like Calm and Headspace. These are like some of the most successful health and fitness apps in today's busy world. And that's included as part of this, this membership. So it becomes this whole holistic Netflix of wellness solution. Again, these apps typically are offered for $10 per month. So we're then already at a $20 per month value. On top of this, as mentioned, we're feeding this with content over the groups, posting workouts of the week. People can see their progress in leaderboards. We're running challenges across the platform that people can join and win these prizes. And we're filling groups in the community with recipes, tips, inspirational posts, etc. So, and managing a community usually is a lot of work, and also that we're taking that from your shoulders. And I wouldn't underestimate the value of this, because every time a member gets this push notification of one of the groups that they subscribe on because they're interested in nutrition and they're getting this new recipe, it's an interaction, it's a touch point with your brand. And research shows that every time that you create a new touch point with your member, doesn't matter if it's digital or in person, that has an effect on the retention. So I think this can be very powerful. So how it works is that within our system, you already have the ability to set up a pro membership. It's basically a membership that gives access to a pro environment with more features. As a company, we open up all this content and services within your personal environment. That means that if members want to upgrade to this pro experience, they can just buy it through the web shop. They upgrade their membership and get access to those services. It's up to you to set the pricing. It's also up to you if you want to enhance this, like Greg was mentioning with Workout Anytime, to enhance this with your own live streaming classes as well, or any other additional content. You could also choose to have different pricing if you have live streaming classes, to have a second membership with higher pricing. And yeah, in that way you can make additional revenue with these digital memberships in addition to your on-location services. So I just made a quick calculation to understand the economics behind this. So let's say you have a gym with 2,500 members, set a price of $8.99 per month, and 20% of your members participate. That's extra revenue of over 50K per year. So our model is we only charge a base fee, fixed fee of $2 per member per month. Anything above that you make is for you. So without any additional investments, it's basically no extra work, turnkey. And then beyond that, as said, this will have an impact on retention, because you can imagine that any member who not just gets the access to your physical service, but also has this at-home offering, the audio meditation, it just adds so much more value to their membership that let's say if 1 month longer people would stay with a $40 membership, those 20% will add another 16,000 euros of dollars per year. So I think there's a lot of value in there. Is 20% conversion a lot? Depends on how you implement it. We have a lot of experience on how to optimize this. So what we typically see is when a new member joins, just make sure to give them a free trial. Say, hey, are you interested in trying this for free for a week? If you don't like it, contact us to cancel. This typically leads to around, we've seen like 40% conversions and up. So again, I think there's a lot of opportunity to make use of this. And so basically, as we're still reopening, if your business is still closed or partially open, I think it's a great platform to help your members on the one side, staying fit at home while you can't offer them the full services yet. At the same time, you're helping your members help you provide an ongoing revenue stream, and which is especially valuable for members that are not ready to come back to your facility again. But also moving forward, as said, this is something that is going to stay and can be an interesting ongoing bolt-on to your services. So I'd like to end this part with a quote that I love from Charles Darwin. We all know is kind of the founding father of the evolution theory, who said, like, it's not the strongest or smartest species that survive, but it's those that are most adaptable to change. And I think we can all agree that Corona has caused a lot of change in our industry. So yeah, I think it's vital for us to adapt to this, to accept digital faster than we would have done before, because our consumers are expecting this. So yeah, that's a bit my my part.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks so much for sharing, Hugo. One of the things that we're going to do now is open it up to the questions and answers. So feel free and put those in. We'll also take a look at the questions that maybe haven't been addressed yet within the chat. I saw the chat was pretty active, so we'll be able to get to those as well. The other thing I'd like to invite everybody to do as well is, if you are okay and comfortable with talking, you can go ahead and use the raise your hand feature. And what we can do is unmute you, so that this way you can ask the question and participate within the conversation. So we'll be able to do that as well. While we wait for some additional questions to come in, one thing I want to share as well is this webinar, an additional webinar that we're doing for customers. So let me share my screen really quickly with some of the details. So this one here is for customers. It's a client success webinar where you're able to join and learn about a module that we have within the system. So we're doing these now on Wednesdays. So every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Central Time, you can join and learn about how to use and leverage the system even further. So in this next webinar, it's going to be on the financial module and using it in a way so that this way you can set up the financial component, the web shop, so that it integrates with the rest of your business objectives as well. So tying your web shop into your marketing campaigns, your Instagram pages, so that this way you not only have the services and can provide them through the system, but you can also attract new people to the business as well, and leverage the system and open it up in a way that makes you more profitable. So that's Wednesday, 12 p.m. We'll drop the Eventbrite link in the chat right now, so that this way you guys can go ahead and get a head start on signing up for that. And I can see here that a couple of questions already have, a couple hands have already gone up. But before we get to the hands, Derek, as far as what you've been seeing in chat and monitoring, what do we have there, and what kind of questions?
Well, I guess one of the things that kind of ties in a bunch of different points that we've been talking about today is if we go back to the original poll about the reopening, and I was actually quite surprised to see that about 40% of the responses were saying that they're already open. However, there was also a huge percentage, about 30%, that actually aren't opening up in June or July. So I guess one of the questions I'd probably propose to you is, since we have individuals that are open already, we also have individuals that at least they know it's going to be after August 1st. I guess from like a digital services perspective, I guess what are your different standpoints to each one of those groups, and why would you encourage them kind of more based upon their specific reopening plan? So what would you recommend to those that are delaying to August 1st, what they can do now to prepare themselves? And then for those who are already open, what are the quick wins now they can do to begin to hit that market as well?
Was that question directed at all of the panelists, Derek, or was
Yeah,
that one
sorry.
for?
Yeah, it's open for all panelists to answer.
Sure. So, my 2 cents on each group is that if you're not open, boy, you got to run at this right now, right? Because I mean, let's be blunt. What else are you doing, right? I mean, you're twiddling, you're nervous, you're anxious. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Let's get into some action. So I would definitely explore this opportunity with Virtuagym, because to be quite direct, it's really easy. In other words, what I was talking about, and some of the folks have asked me questions about doing live virtual training stuff in a studio. Guys, that is a much bigger project. And everyone on this call is probably not going to be able to do that. Doing what was been outlined here is very easy to do. And it's pretty darn quick, I suspect. So that, the fact is there's so much value here that members can start buying this. And the best news about it is it just doesn't distract you from other aspects of your business. So if you're not open, get it. If you're open now, adding this to your current offering is not a big leap. It's pretty simple, to be honest with you. And so you begin offering this, it has value for the members coming in, but it definitely has values for the members who are at home. And I'm pretty sure that most of you who are open have members still at home. So I think both groups of people have an equal motivation to do that. And I just don't think why would you wait right now to develop a digital strategy? It's really go time. So that's my 2 cents.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
I can see here as well that a hand or two has already gone up. Was there anything else, Derek, that you wanted to shed light on before we start taking opening up the mic?
No, that was the main thing. I know that Greg also jumped into the chat and did some responses on the fly. And we also had a really interesting conversation for those who haven't looked, where Greg, it looks like you inspired a lot of people to kind of invest in kind of that setup with the camera. So there was actually quite a bit of dialogue. So if anyone's interested in that, I'd recommend they go back and revisit the the chat as well to check out the other advice that other attendees were sharing with everyone.
Nice. Awesome. Well, in that case, let's go ahead and turn it over to the Brandon. Brandon, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you right now so that this way you're able to then participate within the conversation. So I think you might have to go and personally unmute yourself as well. Hey, Brandon, how's it going?
Pretty good. You guys hear me?
Yeah, I
Yes.
can hear you loud and clear. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Nashville, Tennessee, man. Good old Music City. Yeah, buddy. Tennessee Titans, baby. All right. Fun fact, I was actually on that last cheer team as a 2019-2020. Brought the males back in after 16 years. Anyway, I say fun fact. Anyway, in pertaining to this here, I participated in the chat quite a bit and just kind of throwing my little experience out there. I will definitely say that this is very useful. And like Greg said, what are you doing? If you're not already on this, then you're going to be left way behind. This is definitely going to be a new norm for new individuals. Definitely do some research and learn to how to price point this, because you have people who want to do this, and it's not necessarily the new individuals. Those will be kind of hard to convert, but your people that you're already serving that want to stay with you, they want to keep being active and respect the situation, they're going to make some type of adjustment with you. So a lot of trainers are worried about their retention. However, you have retention. Just offer the digital service and jump on board, because your clients, they'll move their dinner table out of the way to do this stuff. They'll change stuff around. I'm telling you, if they want to do this, trust me, they will find a way. If they can get connected to you, they will. So instead of sitting around, and letting them get stale and they're sitting there waiting on the phone for you, go ahead and hit them up. Say, look, I'm getting this set up. I'm a personal member of a proud client of Virtuagym, and I've been with Virtuagym for at least 2 years now. August will be 3. And Virtuagym can essentially run an entire gym by itself. And it's just running me. So I'm barely even tipping the iceberg of what Virtuagym can do. So it offers a whole lot. Whether you're doing in person, you're doing virtual, you want to do video on demand, it has all that. So I would definitely say that if someone's on this line that is new to this is definitely something they want to jump on board. Definitely, because let's just look at it. Bills are still coming; they're not going to stop. And if you're trying to basically pretty much keep your clients engaged, this is going to be part of our new norm. I also have a place where I physically see people. However, a lot of my clients are still online; they're still virtual. So you need to be able to bounce and engulf the market so that you don't lose any opportunity. If you're not offering something that next person is, you just lost a potential client. So you want to be that person who's already stepping out and say, hey, if you don't want to come out, I can offer you this service. So those are my 2 cents. Sorry, didn't mean to be long-winded.
No, that was great. Thank you so much for sharing. It's always great to hear how somebody else is experiencing, the situation at the moment, and it's great to hear a success story. When it can be, if you're not taking the time to communicate with your members, you're not providing a way in order for them to engage with the brand, during the times of lockdown, then you're doing the wrong thing. So it's great to see that you've been able to address the situation super effectively. So yeah, thanks for sharing. Did you have a question as well, Brandon?
No, I didn't have anything specifically. As I saw some questions in the chat box, but she was talking about a webcam, but I didn't have any specific questions. Just glad to see you guys. Thanks for taking the time.
Awesome.
Thanks for
so
sharing
much
your
for sharing.
experience. So we have some other people also, Myra and Sergio, who raised their hands. So maybe.
Yeah. So let me go ahead, Myra. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same now. So I will allow you to speak now, but you'll have to go in and change the setting on there so that this way you can unmute yourself. So you should have the ability to do that now.
I think that's not working.
Yeah.
Maybe meanwhile also get Sergio on board. Then
Yep.
who's ever first
Hello?
gets. Yes.
There we go.
Hi, Myra.
Hi, it was so nice, the presentation, and it was so nice, and I love it.
Where are you
And
from,
this-
Myra?
Phoenix.
Phoenix. Great.
So did you
Awesome.
have a question for us, or you have a remark, or you just wanted to shout out to the people at home?
Just I want to know more information about the slide. That slide, the last one. Can I
So-
see that?
Yeah. So are you talking about the slide for the weekly tips success webinar for customers, or for learning more information about Stronger Together?
For Corona.
Okay. Yeah. So what I'll do, Myra, is if you wouldn't mind, is if I think we have your email already, but if you can send it in chat, we'll make sure to also have one of the members of our team reach out so that this way they can share some more information. And then same with everybody else. If you're interested in learning more, that's what the polls were sent out to do. So you'll be hearing from our team so that this way they can help you get everything set up and learn a little bit more.
Okay.
Great.
See you guys soon on next Wednesday on the, what day is it? I don't remember. I signed up, but
Yeah, Wednesday. It's tomorrow. It'll be every Wednesday. So tomorrow, for anybody else who's interested to join as well, it's going to be every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Central Time, and it'll be the next one's going to be leveraging the financial module within the system.
I already signed up, so I'll be there tomorrow.
Perfect.
Great.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Myra.
Myra.
So see you then. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank
See you there.
Bye. Sergio.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Great. Hey, first of all, thank you guys for taking the time to do this. It's always great to learn from people with experience, and it's been very, very, very educational. Just a quick rundown for context. I'm from Santa Cruz, Bolivia. So situation here is kind of tough. We've been on lockdown since March 15th. And we won't be opening anytime soon. It's probably more likely August or September.
No, sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, it's been tough. But what we've done is we are actually renting gym equipment. So we started out with the simple stuff like the spinning bikes and small things. But then demand grew and we have quite a bit of equipment rented out. It's not an ideal situation because of the wear and tear, moving stuff from place to place.
Yeah.
It's been paying the bills. I don't know if you guys read my question. I think, yeah, you mentioned something about it. The reason why I'm more scared of opening than my current situation is because by renting my equipment, I am paying all the bills. I'm not making money, but I'm not losing money. I'm afraid that when we open, with all the restrictions and with my fixed costs going back to normal, that's where the real issue will be. So yeah, I mean, this has been helpful for that. But my question actually was something else. Establishing your digital clientele, basically online classes, using Zoom, using the app, using any means you can. How do you fight off the instructor cutting you off and contacting your clients directly?
It's a great question. I can address that. Our intention in our model, and I'm in the US, so just take that for what it's worth relative to, because this is really more of a legal statement. Everyone that's going to be involved in this is going to sign a non-compete. Now, a non-compete doesn't mean that they cannot make a living. It means that they agree to a few things. And one of them is that the clients that they deal with while they're working with us are our clients. They are not their clients, and that they agree that they will not approach them or do anything. And what I found with this stuff is if you institute that the right way, and you're not telling someone that I can't work, you're saying, we've invested in a platform, we're plugging you into X, Y, and Z, and if you want to be a part of this, we want a reasonable agreement. Now, if you want to stop and go do something else, that's fine. And you can go, we're not telling you can't go work somewhere else. What you can't do is steal our clients. And I can tell you in the US, that is 100% enforceable. And if someone breaks that and you have a legal agreement, they will be sorry that they did that, because that's enforceable. What you can't do. So, I think part of that, the second thing that you got to deal with is this, and this is the more important part. Talented people are going to want opportunity. So if you're not creating opportunity for the people that work for you, they're going to leave one way or the other, right? So I think you always have to think on the back end of your business model, and this is true of our digital model as well. How do I compensate superior performance? And how do I define superior performance? In our case, in the live classes virtual, that's pretty simple. It's really based on how many customers you get. And if you bring someone to the table through your efforts on social media or elsewhere, you'll be compensated for that, right? So if I do things properly, what happens is people don't leave. You know why they don't leave? Because they're happy and they're making money, right? So I think that's always the trick, and people can always leave, but you are correct to be concerned about this because we're seeing it in our gyms. We've had some very talented service providers because we had owners that didn't address what I'm talking about. They went, you know what? I can do this on my own on Zoom. What we're designing for our teams is superior, and the tools they're being given are superior to anything that a individual trainer can consistently put together for themselves. So I think it's a combination of all those things. I don't know if that helps you, but it's certainly something that we have thought through and said we have to take steps to try to minimize that, because you're pouring energy, time, and money into people, and you want a return on that investment. And it's reasonable for you as a business owner to expect a return on that, and to expect them not to steal your clients.
Yeah, I just wrote in the chat also. So such a non-compete is called non-solicitation clause.
Right.
So Google that, and you'll get some examples that you can put in your contract that prohibits your staff members to run away with your customers.
And guys, remember something here. I don't even think I'd go hire a lawyer. We did, but we have a lawyer. We're a big company. But here's the point. Most of this is not about getting to court. It's about having a very clear understanding about the rules of the game, right? And if I have signed a non-compete, a non-solicitation agreement, I've signed them several times in my career. And when they're reasonable, I just go, I get it. There's some rules. I can't work here for 2 months and take the client list and start calling them. I'm not allowed to do that. That is not an unreasonable rule. But if it's not mentioned and I don't sign something, well, then nobody mentioned it. Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's important to do something like that.
Yeah, add a penalty clause to it.
Yes.
Because that combined with that you made the agreement beforehand with the penalty will have a very strong preventative effect.
Yep.
So
and that's the game. You don't want you're not going to court. You just want to prevent it from ever getting to be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of the reopening, Greg, I don't know how the rules are in the US. In Europe, I just give a background. Now we are opening up in the Netherlands the 1st of July. So the government agreed like on a protocol together with the Dutch Fitness Association. So in there is that you'd have to be able to maintain a 10 feet distance? Yeah, I think so.
Makes sense.
No, 6 feet, I think. 1.5 meters, yeah, 6 feet. 6 feet distance, proper ventilation, so good airflow. And then the cleaning, of course, good solid cleaning. How is it in the US, and do you see variations state by state on the reopening rules?
Yeah, you do see variations. I mean, what we did is we looked at all that and we said, wait a minute, what's best practices for us? And so best practices for us are, to our franchisees, say that you should have a table when you walk in the door. It should be marked and it should say to be cleaned, and there should be spray bottles on that table. Okay, this is our method, right? So when you come in, you're getting checked for fever, right? You're checking in digitally with the app, and you're grabbing your own cleaning equipment, your freshly cleaned towel, you've got and we've wiped down the outside and sanitized that, and you're going in. We are recommending to our franchisees to control the number of people and make reservations for a while. You need to maintain control, and you need to make sure there's not too many people. And we're not getting any pushback on that. People are just going, I got it, I understand, I'm going to have to change my behavior. We're closing our locker rooms for a while. Why? Well, that's a whole, we don't close the restroom aspect, but showers and lockers for a while. It's like, hey, we don't need to be hanging out in a relatively small space with a lot of people. So let's use that space for its primary purpose, using the restroom facilities, washing your hands, and getting back out. So when the person comes back out, we train them to take the bottle they've been using and put it on another table that says, to be cleaned or sanitized or whatever, right? And so there's two things that does, Hugo. We know how many bottles there are. So in one step, I know who's in the gym. I know how many bodies are in the gym, right? I know what's going on, because crowd control is very, very important. And I can't emphasize that enough. You have to make people feel safe, and they don't want to be a cop for you. You gotta manage that for them.
Yeah, thanks for that. Very helpful.
Sure.
Perfect. All right, guys. Well, we're just about at time. So with the last minute, I just want to say thanks to everybody for taking the time in order to join today. Special thanks to Greg as well. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule and sharing your experience and wisdom with us and the audience today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and if any, yeah, thank you. And if anybody is interested in any more information, or feel free reach out to us on our channels. Our team will be reaching out if you guys have said that you wanted to learn a little bit more about either program. But either way, we'll see you next Tuesday, or we'll see you in our Wednesday webinar for client side as well. Take care,
you guys.
everybody.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.